meeting of the Transit Riders Council. Could we have an approval of today's agenda? Thank you. Minutes.
Correction,
Go ahead, Chris.
one thing I'll say, and I don't correct a lot, but on the presentation part, my part is missing. Mentioning about accessibility on the half-fare Omni card, whatever it's called.
Your question that you asked?
Yeah. And as well as the link of where they're gonna be doing, because it needs to be very clear, so we don't have people getting, we don't wanna get the wrong information out on the minutes, because some people do read the minutes.
Well, I'm not sure what you mean by the link.
The question when I mentioned on the paragraph, and I'll try to be quick as a whistle. I mentioned the second question about, is the half-fare Omni card gonna work for PATH train, nice bus, which they said at this time, PATH train was not gonna be
Right.
joining the half-fare, but the other areas they are. It should be, it would be nice to see that added into the comments so we have a more safety net.
Right, because we did, I saw that, but I thought it was redundant because we do have, that in about other agencies where Alcatraz says that, right, with PATH, it will be coordinated and you can do it from a website. We're in negotiations with other agencies to get it done, but it's up to their boards to control their own fair.
Then also adding, you need to add my name because Edith and I both said at the same time.
About the,
The same questions about the accessorized user and the weekly, the monthly, and the links to, one second, I wanna just get this.
Yeah, no, they'll finish, I think.
The transfer connections from, say, if I wanna go from an MTA bus to a nice bus, or the Suffolk County buses, or the West B-line buses.
right, but that's part of that question.
I know, but it's, I also said it as well, and I asked for some clarification.
West Beeline Bus, was that a new route you just created?
Yes.
Okay.
Also, I don't know if these minutes are just edited or you don't have the whole thing. But when I made my comment about the bus meeting and then Lisa said there was a new form that everybody should have received. And then I said, I really don't care because I'm not gonna do it anymore because it's not worth it. That's not in there. The next thing you do is skip to Edith saying it. And what I said.
Did you want that word for word in there?
Damn right, otherwise I wouldn't have said it.
So can we put damn right in for next month's minutes?
You can put in the whole thing if you want, but I am telling you that it is not worth it because the complaints.
No, we got
We
that.
understand it, but
We understand.
I didn't think that you really wanted that.
I
Okay.
I wanted to be on record that,
Okay.
that the answers are not worth the
We
paper that they're written on.
we will retrofit your comments into it.
And if you wanna say
Is that you?
damn well, you can
No,
quote me
don't
with
want to
that.
do
you?
that, but thank you.
Good work.
Thank you.
Then this will have to be R-rated minutes at least.
Exactly.
Yeah, so you can
We'll
do
give that warning. Chris, something
PG-13.
else?
Make a motion with all with the corrections to be approved.
There's a motion on the table to approve the minutes as amended. Is there a second? All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. So the minutes are now going to reflect both of your comments and
Noted.
have been approved.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
The chair's report. Needless to say, it has been quite a busy month for New York City Transit with the official commencement of L-line work starting this weekend. Yep, it all begins this weekend. Although a good deal of work has been underway on, some of the GOs. There have been overnight closures between 8th Avenue and Lorimer Street during the week, and staff has been out monitoring the alternate service plan and morning reopening. We will begin a more focused monitoring effort beginning this weekend, and you'll hear more from Bradley about how you can participate in this effort. Overall, we'll be looking to document a host of metrics, including service levels, crowding along the line, signage at stations, both to shuttle buses and signage to other subway options and bus options, adequacy of service alternatives, overcrowding of particular stairways, if certain stations become exit only at certain hours, which has been threatened on occasion, just crazy holding of doors, if people find they can't even get on the second L train once you have 20-minute headways, things of this nature. All of this has to be monitored. Since we last met, the New York State budget has been passed, bringing with it congestion pricing and a new MTA chairman, Pat Foy. Days before the budget agreement was approved, 4 new nominees to the board were announced, including You may know Rhonda Herman from the Metro North Commuter Council. She replaces longtime board member Andrew Saul, who was from Westchester County. I'll go into a few more of the board members during the board report. Some things about the congestion pricing plan were spelled out in the budget, including the boundaries, but much was left to the work of a 6-person traffic mobility review board, which will be created by the TBTA.
Which will respond to New Jersey.
Yes, apparently Governor Murphy is really hammering out some carve-outs which would sort of ruin the whole point of congestion pricing, but in any event, congestion pricing itself will not actually go into effect until 2021, including how much it will cost, so there is time to work out the important details and exemptions. All of the funds raised through congestion pricing and dedicated new tax revenue will be used to support the bonding that will help pay for the 2020 to 2024 capital program. The budget also included an MTA reform package that requires a reorganization plan by June 30th. As part of the reform passed with the budget, board member terms are now aligned with the appointing elected officials. We don't believe this will affect our members as they are recommended by the individual councils and not by an elected official per se. In addition, I was interviewed by the governor's office for renewal of my board appointment. Quite an invasive interview. Not one question about transportation, unfortunately, but I hope to hear back soon on that. On April 10th, New York City Transit senior management, along with Chairman Pat Foy, held a press conference touting the continued subway performance improvements. The highlights are on-time performance in March reached 78%, up from 65% last March, and the highest since November of 2013, and that is no mean feat. That is really an amazing accomplishment. Major incidents fell to 50, down 40% since last March. Subway performance is headed in the right direction due to the Subway Action Plan and the Save Safe Seconds campaign. Can you say that fast? But there is still much more work to be done. Needless to say, we all see it as we ride. It is absolutely imperative that New York City Transit's Fast Forward plan receive sufficient funding to continue this great work, as we point out in our latest report, 100 Days and 100 Nights. Congestion pricing will help make this a reality, as it will allow large bonding from the approximate 1.3 billion a year that congestion pricing will bring, up to 15 billion in bonding capability. So that's real money. Yes?
The congestion pricing start date is 2021. At what point?
The installation of the readers and all of that will take place, assuming that the state legislature verifies that it is going to take place. There are some efforts to undo it, as you probably have read and heard. But the actual receipt of monies would not begin until 2021 at the earliest.
2021?
No.
They're not gonna set the prices or until
In the time frame, though.
the end of 2020.
Yeah.
And so it's supposed to start in 2021. They don't have an exact start date.
Do we know yet who is being appointed to this overseeing committee?
We only know that one of the 6 will be a mayoral appointment.
No, I'm talking about names.
We don't know names.
No.
We know,
We've asked.
we
No
know
names.
where they're coming from, but we don't know.
Right.
Who
We've
that,
asked.
is there a date set that
I
they
can figure it out.
have to name?
I would think
them by?
ASAP they would want to name.
No, but there hasn't
don't-
been a
no.
date
No,
set,
there has
or
not.
nobody spoke about that.
Nope.
No, it's not part of the legislation. The tolling platforms or gantries or whatever, they're not gonna use gantries. There's an RFEI out now for the technology to do the tolling. In the legislation, and actually the board approved a contract with a firm that's an environmental consultant firm, because it's anticipated it's gonna have to go through NEPA for the placement of those monitors.
You'll have to have one on every southbound avenue,
That we
crossing
do
61st.
at the perimeters, but it depends what the,
Every other. Going south.
Well,
No.
10th, 11th, 12th.
oh, yeah, and on the FDR and the west.
Yeah.
And the
I'm
east
saying
side, of course, yes.
Every cross downtown street.
Yeah.
Okay, you're talking about now what the board did. Did the question that I asked even come up at the board about who was going to be named to this?
Did not come up at the
They
board.
don't know who's gonna be named.
No, I understand that. I'm asking if it even came up. I know nobody knows.
Somebody's ringing.
Yeah, that's my.
I hear music.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, I just.
Judy, that's been a question that's been asked many times, not answered.
Okay, but it did come up, the question was asked at the board.
It's been asked many times. And it has not been answered. I don't know that they know yet.
But they did bring it up, or they did
It
ask the
has
question.
been asked many times.
Okay.
To be determined.
Lisa testified at the most recent Transit and Finance Committee meetings requesting inclusion of a rider representative at the table during negotiations with legislators about the new on-time performance metrics that were included in the budget legislation with Alex Partners, which is the new consulting firm that is looking at the reorganization of the MTA, for which a contract has now been approved, and they are here. They are already here, like several days a week. She also noted that the committee books were not posted until after 6 p.m. on the Friday before the meetings. At the full board meeting, she welcomed the new board members with an overview of PCAC and also praised Chairman Foy's expressed commitment to transparency with better open data and FOIL processes. She again asked, or processes if you prefer,
Process.
or that's like the third way you could say that word. She again asked that this commitment include posting committee books shortly after board members receive theirs. And typically we have been receiving them Wednesday, Thursday, and or Friday before the Monday committee meetings, depending on whether certain things are happening and they have to delay them. But the earliest we are getting them is like Wednesday or Thursday before the Monday meetings. Queens bus redesign meetings have begun, and Lisa attended the first public event at a Queensborough Service Cabinet meeting on April 15th.
So we have some flyers here.
We do have flyers
Yeah, I need
about the Queens bus redesign. The next one will be held on Tuesday, May 7th in the Rockaways. Hopefully it'll be beach weather by then.
We gotta take the ferry then.
Yeah,
Or take the bus.
or the A train.
Yes.
Yeah, with 6 total open houses. Why would we take the ferry?
I just said that
I
to see
know,
what you were.
to infuriate me. Yeah. With 6 total open houses currently scheduled through May, this latest redesign effort will look at 107 bus routes, including 77 local routes and 30 express bus routes in the biggest borough of New York. The borough is seeing declining ridership on a network that has not seen substantial change in decades, with many bus routes following old trolley routes, not horse-drawn carriage routes?
Only in.
Only electric trolley routes, oh, okay. In addition to improving bus service for more than 700,000 average weekday customers, the redesign should help move buses more quickly and reach more people in the borough, particularly in anticipation of congestion pricing. And hopefully an expansion of Freedom Ticket, that would be nice too. Please attend meetings as you are able. The open houses have a rolling start. Is that a bus joke there?
I think, no, that's Rolling Stone.
Oh, okay. Rolling start, so you can arrive at any time and still get the full interactive experience and still have to dip your card twice to make sure that it works. A full list is available on our website at pcac.org, and you can also get more information and submit your comments through the MTA website at, now get this, www.new.mta.info/Queens Bus Redesign. Everyone get that?
Yes.
Okay.
That's also on the flyer and on our website as a click-through.
Very catchy.
Plus you can scan it to.
URL there.
And
Right.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry.
Andrew, on a funny note, Lisa's gonna laugh in a minute too. It's actually easy to get on PCAC's website in one way, because I'm getting a lot of people, even I'm looking at my phone, I have to tell people, enough. They can get on PCAC's website because it's right there.
Right.
And it's also a much easier URL to remember, pcac.org. How hard is that?
It's not even that, it's like you type in that, even Queens or not, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but when you go to PCAC, they said, oh, so wonderful to see that.
We're having a similar issue with the L train slow down project, that if you Google MTA L train, how long did it take us, like 10 minutes or 15 minutes to get the appropriate website?
Well,
But it's not optimized for the
Well,
search.
you can imagine how many many things that would be
all I know
related to
is
that.
that-
And-
I know, but none of them are the MTA website, and that should be number one.
I'm sorry.
And what happens if you go on MTA.info and look for that? Is
Well,
it
right, but you, then you have to go to
Trust
new,
me, Andrew, don't even say
New
that.
MTA, yeah.
but it's
Yeah,
not
that
easy, and
info
it should be
isn't
much
cheap.
easier.
BCAC, but we have been getting, I'm getting a lot of people complimenting the website. So that's the one thing, they had no complaint, even when you're Eldrin you mentioned, they actually said it's easy to get on your page.
It's good, thank you for saying
What is that, daglium.com?
that.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe.
The
Or
process will
Bradley.
continue into 2020, so there's still plenty of time to get involved in this, but please do weigh in, regardless of your individual weight. Yes. Staff is also working on identifying next steps for Freedom Ticket / Atlantic Ticket, especially given the surprise announcement in early April. Did everyone hear this? About the Outer Borough Transit Fund and discounts that would ostensibly be given to riders in Northeast Queens, i.e. the Port Washington branch.
Oh my
It is
God.
not the same benefit as riders in Southeast Queens are now getting with Atlantic Ticket, who can now they can purchase a one-way or a combined weekly LIRR MetroCard fare. But for Northeast Queens, they're only talking about monthly tickets, which is obviously a big difference. So it's,
they're
and I
talking
brought
about
that up to the
extending
chairman that, you know, for sections of Queens to not have the exact same benefits doesn't make much. Yes, Trudy.
Have you or anybody been in touch with Scott Stringer's office about this? Because they are pushing this.
I was with an event that Scott
Concept.
spoke
No,
at
no,
the
but I
other
mean
night. We spoke
officially,
about it.
I'm with, no, I talk to him about it all the time. What I'm saying officially, let me put it a different way. I would suggest that you or Lisa send a note, a letter, an email to Scott Stringer, officially informing him, not like I have conversations with him or you have conversations with him, about Freedom Ticket Atlantic, and that you'd like to work with his office on pushing this forward.
So we've reached out to his office, because the concept that he's pushing is that that fare be exactly the same as the subway fare.
There is room, trust me, there is room for conversation.
Well, we'll work
What
with him.
I'm
But
suggesting,
we're working, and Andrew
But
has spoken with
officially-
them.
Yeah, I spoke with him,
a
I saw him the
lot
other
of
night.
times, a lot of times, it pays to just send a one or two line email saying that you would like to, requesting the, I know from whence I speak. It's an official suggestion, and I would appreciate if you guys do it. I talk to him all the time, you talk to him all the time, many of us talk to him and his staff all the time. It would help if there was
We will do
something
that.
We'll
that
do
came
that.
officially, okay?
We will do that.
And I think that we had a conversation and agreed that we're not supporting that be the same price as the subway fare. And that was the proposal that.
But we're
came out.
No.
both
But-
looking for the same benefits.
Ultimately, right.
As I said, I know everything you're saying. What I am suggesting or requesting, unless there is some
We
reason
got
not
it,
to
Trudy.
do it.
We're gonna do it.
Okay, okay.
We got
Just
it.
saying that we have something, we're going on parallel lanes,
Yep,
and maybe we should talk more about how we can get it together.
okay,
Andrew,
yes.
regarding the Northeast Queens, what is the proposal for the route? Are you talking about going from Penn Station now?
The stations, interestingly enough, that they have mentioned are Little Neck through Flushing Main Street. Flushing Main Street is not a transit desert. You could argue that Little Neck through Murray Hill is a non-subway area.
Oh,
But
no.
Flushing Main Street is obviously served by the number 7 line and tons of buses, so it's hardly a transit desert.
And
Murray Hill through Little Neck, I wouldn't argue.
I will definitely say,
What would the fare be, a combination of the subway ride and?
No.
Well, now they're talking
What they're
about
talking
as
about
a,
is a monthly reduced rate
or
for
they're
those.
talking now also as a consideration as a city ticket price for all of the Metro New York and, they're just, everybody's throwing things out there,
Yeah,
and seeing
everyone's
what's gonna
throwing-
stick.
To try to get a deal with, because congestion pricing is still, you know,
Because when the announcement was made about that, the Northeast Queens, I reached out to the railroad and said, oh, is this, what can you tell us about this? And they said, first we've heard of it. So, I reached out to the press office and said, what are you saying? And they're like, we're referring everything to the governor's office. So, it was an arrangement that was made outside of the walls of this building, from what we understand.
but the one thing I was gonna say is, it may be good for Flushing, but maybe best Woodside for one other reason, because right now, why I'm saying Woodside for a reason is because as you just said, transfer to the 7 train.
There's no room on the 7 train, sorry.
Well, Penn Station will
Doc
allow,
carries some
because,
stuff
no,
in.
be honest with you, the congestion on that line, even, let's say it's running or not running, or the 7 is out. Even from Flushing or going up to Gray Neck or going from Gray Neck to Penn Station, that line, both lines get very overcrowded.
Yeah, they
And
cancel trains and
And,
combine
and the one thing is, I don't think it's a good idea just to stop at Flushing, should go more in to Manhattan, or they wanna switch from a train from Woodside to go to Jamaica. You know, it's, you gotta have some more open options, because sometimes people, the buses are very, very overcrowded, and there are times you have to wait 4 buses to just.
What buses are you referring to?
Q44 SBS, Q65,
That's why they're doing the
Q25.
bus redesign.
The
Yes,
the
but they're also
Q44
packed.
is a north-south route. The
Yes.
railroads we're talking about are east-west routes.
So what we're doing is and Bradley has been working on this, is capacity review of, on not just at that branch, but other, as a follow-up to the Freedom Ticket and, work that he did, and also, on Metro North, to look there, so that we have background
And
information, data that we can share and supply. And I have reached out to the chairman's office to ask how we can participate in these conversations because of all of the work that's already been done and the work that's being done now.
And just to make it very clear, since Flushing now has a accessible elevator, there are times, sometimes the 7 train is out a lot with accessibility at that station. That's why I mentioned Woodside, Andrew, because you do have accessible at that station as well. And if they have to stay on to Penn Station, it gives, at least the seniors and disabled people another way to get into Manhattan or to get to another part of Queens, because Woodside is also linked
Well,
right now.
I don't know that we're advocating for this, so I think that's what the numbers are gonna be.
I know we're not advocating this moment, but keep it as an open book.
Absolutely.
We're advocating for areas that are not well-served by
Yeah.
subways. That's the
0.8
point.
miles or more away from a subway.
Well, that part right now is not being.
And as
Woodside is.
the full benefit of CDTC is getting turned on in May on the number 7 line, it's likely you won't see any more shutdowns on the 7 line. I think that work will have been done by then.
I'm knocking.
Yes.
Yeah, I was gonna agree
Yes.
with Lisa on that one.
Yes.
I had to let 2 trains go by this morning.
Yeah. I got
And-
Well, you get
that's-
on it from Jackson,
I know, but if they sent 4 express trains in a row.
but you don't have the benefit of the 2 to 3 extra trains per hour yet, which you will get in May.
I'm also gonna have a couple 100,000
But-
extra L train runners.
Judge Greenberg has been commuting to his new job in Jamaica via the 7 and then the E and the F, well, actually the F probably. And he's saying that he sees vastly improved service on the 7 lately.
Yeah, no, when it works, it works. It's when it doesn't.
Remember Judge Greenberg, otherwise known as Ira? Yeah.
Yeah, I saw him the other week when I was going to the one.
Let me go into the board report because we have a lot to talk about today. Welcome, Edith. So, as you heard from the chair's report, Alex Partners, which is the firm that has done a lot of restructuring of major companies, is here, is on the premises, is here often, every week, and is talking with the management staff and the chairman and everyone about restructuring of the MTA. The deadline for that is June 30th, as you heard before, so they are going at it great guns. I do have a board briefing in 2 weeks or so. Maybe I will get wind of how the restructuring talk is going. But look for some duplicative functions to be combined if possible. Don't know what else they're going to do up here. They may do things relevant to titles here and IT. Don't know that they can do HR, but I'm sure they're going to look at everything.
Already done BSC,
Yeah.
and it's not a success.
It's not a success. Well, there you go.
Neither is the Omni phase. That's not, that's
Well, that's not part of this restructuring.
That's not part of Alex, but, so we will keep you posted on that. At the last board meeting, Finance Committee Chair Schwartz, that's Larry Schwartz, did quite a diatribe against Siemens, a product of what was reported at the combined Long Island and Metro North committees, which is that positive train control installation on the railroads has not gone well, has not functioned well, is possibly putting the railroads at a risk of not meeting the federal deadline. Siemens is a world-renowned company. It's amazing that they have performed in this fashion. Chairman Schwartz, at the full board meeting, asked for a possible vote of no confidence and possible future debarring of Siemens from doing any business with the MTA.
He got the vote of no confidence.
He got the vote of no confidence, and in what was an absolute first, the chairman actually asked the non-voting members to also vote with the voting members as a method of
I
showing
was looking at the
people's
video, I was like,
people's unhappiness with Siemens, and virtually it was unanimous. You know, Siemens is getting an awfully great contract, needs the MTA, needs this kind of company's business, and they just can't treat the MTA like they have. It's just, it was unbelievable, and they did get that vote. So we will see what happens.
Well, they're demanding that
They're demanding that the CEO of Siemens appear at the May board meeting.
Whoa.
Yes,
from Germany.
from Germany.
Siemens been an issue way before this?
Right, have they ever not screwed up?
Well, they
It's
screwed
not
up
something
their
unacceptable.
fixing of the screwing up.
Yeah, right.
They were supposed to, you know, the MTA did QA/QC on the installation work to fix the installation work, and then they had to fix what they were fixing because they soldered the equipment instead of bolting it. And if the MTA found that, not Siemens people, so it was.
And
it
they've had
was-
issues in other countries too. I've heard of this as well. I mean, they can't be the only company that does what they do, obviously. So obviously the MTA will be looking to have this rectified in May, or look to another company to finish this PTC. I don't recall who New Jersey Transit used to.
It's not Siemens.
It's not Siemens.
It's not seen,
Yeah,
definitely
yeah.
not, definitely not.
All right.
Andrew?
Yes.
What is the veracity, I'm just looking for what it says on City and State.
Veracity is a good word, Trudy.
Yes.
SAT word.
It's one of these wonderful, it's better than what I said before.
Yes, very.
Okay,
Trust me.
anyway, according to City and State, let me read this. It says, Governor Andrew Cuomo and New York City Transit President Andy Byford have disagreed publicly about whether the MTA signal repairs should use communication-based train
Yeah,
control
CBTC for sure.
or ultra
Wideband.
wideband radio. Was that part of this whole diatribe from?
That was part of the
Schwartz?
disagreement.
Well, that's not part of that positive train control stuff.
That's not a part of
That's
It's
all
PTC.
not-
separate.
So that didn't come into any of
No,
this at all?
no. What you're referring to is,
Okay.
and Andy has mentioned many times, listen to me, CBTC and ultra-wideband are not mutually exclusive, they are compatible. You can do part of the system with one and part with the other. As you know, they're testing ultra-wideband both here in Boston and in LA. It has given some pretty positive results. I think people are really excited about it. It would allow the new signaling system to be installed in a fraction of the time and a fraction of the cost on work trains, on passenger trains, on everything. Much shorter shutdown periods. CBTC, as you know, is requiring shutdown periods. You saw with the 7 line, you're going to see it with the Queens Boulevard line.
It's already been done.
Yeah, so they're compatible, so.
But this did not come up at the board meeting? You
No.
said
It's a separate, CBTC.
No, I understand it's a separate issue, but
And it's a different, different company and different, it's, their goals may be the same, but they're completely different, right?
They allow
PTC is federally mandated.
Closer to get, trains to be run much more closer
Yeah,
together.
no,
They know of some, yeah.
What I'm asking is,
It did not
because
come
all
up.
of a sudden for this to pop up on here this morning,
Oh, I saw that.
Oh,
No, I
yeah.
think that's a result though of the articles of this past week
About-
and the
yeah,
time.
about-
well,
to
that's,
post.
yeah,
That's what
but
it's-
here they're talking specifically. We can talk about those articles in the Times afterwards, because when they don't have anything else to print, the New York Times has a wonderful slogan called, all the news that fits, we print.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Let me move.
But you think that this is a result of that, or, because it just
Yes.
popped up this morning all
Yes.
of a sudden?
It's a result of that, yes.
Okay.
Okay, so, you may have seen in the news reports of the possible use of facial recognition cameras as a deterrent to fare evasion. These are dummy cameras, for want of a better word, that are being set up to possibly deter fare evasion. They're not sending a signal or that face to anybody.
Is
They're
it
just-
gonna be the dummy in the, sitting in a car?
It's-
How do I know you were gonna say that?
That's funny. No, it is just, it is a possible fair evasion deterrent for those that don't know that they're dummies. Obviously, you'll see an increased police
Wait,
presence.
they don't know they're dummies, or they don't know the camera
Both.
dummies? All right.
Both,
That's okay, Scott.
both.
The dummies think they're real, right?
You make me the gun.
So don't be
Well, the balance-
deterred by
Oh,
those.
dummies, yeah.
They're completely different.
The alternate service plans for the L train slowdown, I wanna say a slowdown instead of shutdown, because it's not a total shutdown now, are still being devised. You've heard that the street treatment on 14th Street is still being determined, but it looks like buses will be in the center lanes, trucks for deliveries will be in the outer lanes, and cars will be able
Will
to
be
access
extra.
14th Street for a block to drop people off and then must exit 14th Street doing right turns only, no more left turns will be allowed. There will be a 2-month grace period for this, The actual bus treatment is still being worked out, and where the SBS bus will run and what stops will be eliminated. I was asked this question yesterday and I asked about it, and it is still being devised even as we sit here, believe it or not, which is just a few days before the L train closes.
Accessory?
Accessoride will be allowed, obviously.
And not Uber or Lyft or taxis.
No, no.
So the,
Which means, of course, they will be on narrow residential
Right,
village
yeah.
side streets, yes.
the federal government the federal government had to approve, this plan because it was part of the original NEPA process, or the second NEPA, process, so that just came on the 19th, so that allowed them to proceed.
Yes.
Lots of room.
As you have no doubt heard, congestion pricing carve-outs continue to attempt to be made. The latest are the Henry Hudson Bridge, which actually has a lower toll than any of the other crossings we have been talking about. So
Right.
the fact that Dinowitz was able to get that carve-out is pretty amazing.
And Cross Bay,
And Cross Bay,
that's close.
yeah, I mean, Cross Bay is another really, nowhere near the congestion zone, doesn't feed the congestion zone, doesn't even feed streets that lead to the congestion zone, so I don't get that one at all.
And it's only for Queens residents.
But
Yeah.
doesn't this all have to be approved by this no-name commission or whatever it is? All the carve-outs and everything else?
It's supposedly, yes, the 6-person panel.
Supposedly.
Six, oh, is that what it's known as, a 6-person panel?
Yeah.
Expert.
The
No,
phantom
Yeah.
panel, yeah.
And you've of course recently heard about the GWB and the denials that any deal has yet been made. We will see how this all fans out. Governor Murphy even wanted some of the proceeds to go to New Jersey Transit and PATH after they raised their gasoline tax 20 cents, which was ostensibly to go for those very things, but that I don't think he's going to get. Lastly, let me just say, you heard me refer to the new board members. The newest 4 are Kevin Law, who replaces Mitch Pally. He's from Suffolk County. He's the head of the Long Island Association. Rhonda Herman, as you know, works for the IRS, was a former member of the Metro North Commuter Council.
So she works for Treasury.
IRS is the way it says.
Part of Treasury.
Oh, IRS is part of it.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Hilda
Hayda.
Hayda Mihaltzis, who is an executive with the New York Mets.
And used to work at City Council.
And yes,
And appointed by the
That's
Um,
national.